I feel like this music's too loud. Okay, so I'm gonna make this little entry level Mirage T side. I mean, this works for more than just Mirage. I'm gonna try and explain just some like basic terrace side, I guess, like simple like 101 like what you should do on T side, like things to do. I need to turn off the music. I can't fucking. Um, how do I? There we go. Whoops. Um, just because for the first time last night, I played a match with like some lower level people, and I mean, it was an extremely frustrating game. I can't blame them. It was a Smurf game, so like obviously I'm playing with people that are worse than me, and I can't be upset at them for that. But they were even like listening and stuff and like paying attention and like asking me what we needed to do to win. But it just seemed like they didn't really know how to play T side, so it was hard for me to explain like in game like this is what we got to do. And so some first things about T side that you need to know is um, it's like Mirage is a super common map, super simple as far as like running a default and whatnot. Um, if you're ever gonna run like a default on T side, like a standard one would be usually if you're running a default, it's not literally like one palace, one ramp, one mid, one apps, one underpass. It's like you're running a default to look for pushes and stuff, but you're also trying to make a play somewhere on the map. Mirage, it tends to be mid control more times than not, and so a common thing to do. I know there's like a really common like people just smoke window now, but I prefer do this little cat smoke. Super easy. Line up on the trash can, just get all the way in the corner, and then just like in between these two, you can throw a smoke there. Lands on cat. Nice thing about this smoke is so you that one kind of has maybe a gap there, so maybe a little farther to the right, but um, it allows you to cross out mid. You can check to see if there's somebody connector like kind of peeking there, so you get some information. You can kind of see if somebody goes like late underpass or something, but it also gives you the ability to creep up to the smoke. And if the opper's not watching you, you can catch them off guard. Like especially in like low basic level play, oppers are usually going to be looking like over here or over here. So you can kind of creep up through that smoke and maybe pick off the opper. If he's not peeking you, you can look this way and look triple, top ticket, people rotating, and then you can peek cat if nobody's peeking there. So look for this guy coming for you. Um, so yeah, so that's like really basic. You have like two people come mid, have one guy lurk A, whether it be palace, A ramp, whatever. And then like maybe a guy apps or a couple guys apps, one guy putting some pressure on B, kind of seeing how many nades he is, what they're up to, and then a guy underpass to help the two mid guys. Um, so one thing about that, so let's say you get, three people out mid or whatever, there's not much contesting, they've got their smoke or whatever, they smoke off window. Um, Smoke off window, one, I think I missed that. No, it's good, okay, yeah. Smoke off window, that's another pretty easy window smoke. Call away in this corner, put your crosshair on the corner here, crouch, put your crosshair here, stand up and throw. Crouch, crosshair here, all the way in the corner, stand up, throw smoke. Smokes off window. I have had issues with that missing sometimes. I don't know what I do wrong when it misses. Maybe I'm not crouched all the way when, like, maybe I'm just, I don't know. But I have had that miss sometimes, but that's usually a pretty easy window smoke. So they're fighting mid, whatever, fucking molly connector, blah, blah, blah. You guys are fighting mid. And then if you are the A lurk in this case, so if you're the guy that, just is going palace or whatever and is lurking around here, um, if they're doing mid stuff, especially if they get a pick and you're sitting up here and you're not smoked off, or maybe you are smoked off, but like if it's like a deep smoke, especially like if it lands over here or something like, well, maybe not there, but if it lands like here, something you can do is 9 times out of 10, when things start dying mid, they're going to start looking connector and you can look for a play through the smoke. Especially like if it's that deep, you can get here. This jungle guy is either going to be looking mid or he's going to be rotating like connector to look there. Um, and you can try and peek out and get timing on the guy on site, the opera ticket booth. 9 times out of 10, if the opera window dies and they're taking mid control, like even if I'm an opera on CT side, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump up, like if ramp is smoked and shit, I'm gonna jump up on this fucking ticket booth and I'm gonna look mid connector. And so if you sneak out palace, you have a great chance to kill this guy. Or if it's the triple guy and he's looking over here, you have a chance to catch him maybe. Um, at the very least, maybe the stairs guy or whatever pops up, peeks you, kills you, these guys now know that there's a low chance of anybody being in connector or anything like that, and so they can push up and get connector control and fight this guy. So that's just like a basic default. Mirage is a lot about mid control, stuff like that. Um, but just to go on to like, that's just as like a default. If you don't know what to do in matchmaking or anything like that, and you want to run a default and you're playing with some buddies, do that. Like that is a standard, easy to win. You can try and throw more people mid, maybe forget the guy lurking apps and just have him help mid as well. Have basically 3 mid, 1 lurking A, or 3 mid, or 4 mid, 1 lurking A, 4 mid, 1 lurking B, whatever. Um, but when you are lurking, your goal is you need to be counting how many smokes they use, so you know like if you can try and do some kind of execute onto the site, how many mollies they've used, stuff like that. Um, you can flash for your team, molly under balk, stuff like that. There's some molly, I think it's like this. Nope, it's not like that. I'll tell you that much right now. There's some molly where like if you're smoked off, you can maybe here. Whoops. Yeah, that one. Okay. Sorry, buddy's having some struggles. So yeah, say you are smoked off here and your team wants to execute A and you need to molly under balk. You can line up in this corner, line up at the middle of this light, and you can just walk all the way into this corner and throw it, and you'll be able to molly under balk even while you're smoked off. Super easy, whatever. But yeah, if you're the lurk player, your job, you're counting smokes, you're trying to listen for rotations, you're listening for aggro ramp, stuff like that. And then if you see an opportunity, if, you know, based on how the game's going, if you're hitting your shots, you have a chance to come out here and make like a solo play that can basically just win the round. Um, as far as entrying Mirage, if you have your whole stack here and you're either doing something like scrim out A ramp or, you know, you did a smoke execute and you're coming out, first thing, people coming out ramps. So we're gonna assume you do proper smokes. Let me smoke CT, smoke jungle, which lands like here-ish, smoke stairs. That was a bad jungle smoke. He normally lands better, but so first thing you should do when you get out, first guy, hopefully they're throwing flashbangs over the top. You're gonna be clearing triple. Look in here. If you don't see anything there, kind of look close, under balk, all that. If they're not peeking anything, you have the opportunity. You need one guy to molly bench because it's really common for people to run through that smoke and fight you. Another person can molly under balk if your palace guy can't do it. I just whiffed that, but and then you guys need to go out. First two guys coming out. If you're not meeting much opposition, you need to be swinging to sight as fast as possible because these smokes aren't going to last very long. And the more people that rotate, they're going to get opportunities to like flash their teammate into sight and stuff like that, like flashes like that through the smoke. You're going to get the cat guy throwing flashes over connector. Like you need to, before these smokes fade and before they have chance for teammates to rotate and to flash them through the smoke and stuff like that, you need to be out. So like as soon as those smokes land, if I'm the first guy out, which in like Smurf games, low level games, I don't try and do that at all. First guy out, you know, you're here, clear triple, don't see anything, look for the guy to jump up on top of ticket through the smoke. Clear close, don't see that. It's like normally it's like I have my rifle out, clear, clear, clear. I'll step back a sec, molly bench, run out, and then you're just clearing everything under balk, sight, default, triple, whatever. Then once you get here, you can push forward, help your team, look for them pushing stairs, look for like any gaps in the smoke jungle, anything like that. By the time the smokes fade, you'll have the sight. And so then after that, it's just after plant, which is a whole nother story. But um, an important thing too is when you're entering, if you know they have like an op or a double op setup, you don't necessarily just have to swing wide like this. You can kind of give it like a little peek and then go. It's like give it a little jiggle, whatever, and then go. See if you can bait out an op shot. If you're the second, third guys that do the smoke, whatever, the flashes, you need to be right on this dude's ass. Second guy needs to go right with him. Do not go over here to Tetris and jump up here and try and like, oh, let's see if we can look through the smokes or spray over here. Like, no, the second guy, you need to be right on your entry player's butt so that if there is a guy under balk and he doesn't kill him, he dies, then you can trade immediately. Or, you know, if there's a guy triple, whatever. So just in case your entry can't get all the kills or whatever, like you need to be on his ass to trade because if that entry guy runs in and does everything properly and dies and you're not there to trade, like, and then everybody just starts like, you know, say this first guy comes out and the opper jumped up on ticket booth and he ops him right here. If these second and third guys then proceed to like stop and like, oh no, what do we or they like go over here in this corner and they're just hiding, like you're just stuck here. Then your smoke spade, you've got an op looking here, you've got three different angles you have to clear, you're gonna get flash naded. Like you have to go fast. You have about 10 seconds after you start hitting out here to take the site. Um, Same thing, Palace guy. If while they're doing that, you're smoked off and they start entering and like there's fighting going on, you need to take this right here. You need to go through this smoke. So yes, it's a disadvantage to go through a smoke, but worst case scenario, there's, a guy triple and he kills you. But immediately you die, you call out triple. That makes it so this guy entering, so like if he was like on the triple left side looking at you, or if he was like behind default, this guy entering now has like a much less area that he has to clear and keep his crosshair. And so like if I'm doing a normal clear, I'm gonna have to like underbalk, firebox, CT, triple, like whatever. But if you tell me that, the guy playing on A site, because normally when you do a smoke execute, maybe there's two there, but if you molly under balk and stuff like that, like the most common place is gonna be like one under balk or top balk, and then a guy like triple, default, maybe ninja, something like that. But so like as soon as you die to the triple guy or whatever, this guy immediately has a much easier time fighting this, as well as the CT player has to reset his spray or whatever. But you've got peeker's advantage because you're coming around. Um, yeah, peeker's advantage. You know exactly where he is. Less things to have to check. You don't have to move your crosshair far. So even if you die, best case scenario, you come out there. These guys are fighting the ramp guy, and you can get multiple kills or whatever, help your team take the site. Um, I can show some pretty easy smokes. CT smoke, line up in the middle of this pillar. This is just like I'm kind of changing the subject here, but like that's just like default how to entry a side if you're doing like an A execute to actually pull off the A execute. Um, Here's the CT smoke, line up in the middle of this wall, aim at the top right of this little wooden stick, jump throw. I think there is a better CT smoke than this that I probably should learn, but like that one works pretty good. Um, I think there's a better one, an easier one to learn, but that's the one I've used for like 5 years. So stair smoke, probably the easiest one of all. Just jump up, stand up straight, middle of this pillar, like this little box area right here. You just aim in the middle of that and throw. Bounces right on stairs. Easy peasy. Jungle, have to jump up here. Common thing when executing, make sure you have one player holding this ramp push because your jungle smoke, if you throw this one, there might be another one again. Leaves you exposed like a ramp push. But line up middle of this pillar. This little black dot right here, this little black dot, and then like the first line right there, you just kind of like line up in the middle of them. So line up here, middle pillar, look up here, line them up. So like I'm lined up with here and here, this little dark line, and just throw. That one can also be kind of tricky because it's real easy to get gaps in jungle smokes. So let's see if this one even. Yeah, see, even this one has a little bit of a gap, but it's not too bad. If you're mauling bench and stuff like that and you're aware that gaps like this can exist, again, there's probably a better jungle smoke I could learn, but that's just the one I've always used. So, um, yeah, super important smoke. Um, so yeah, those are your default A smokes. You do that. You have people throwing flashes over. You want to make sure you get flashes going that way toward jungle, and you want flashes that way toward CT. It's especially good if you have a guy up here who can throw flashbangs like this. That can get kind of deeper and lower because that pops like right here, and it's kind of hard to see. So it'll at least blind him a little bit. And then, whoops, while you're running out as well, maybe have like a support player or something throw. You can either like whoops, not like that. You can either like if your entries are already out and you're kind of behind them, you can lob some flashes behind them and whatnot just to help if there's like a guy CT or a guy trying to peek through the smoke. You can flash jungle, etc. Flash CT. Um, just make sure you call your flashes because nothing's worse than when you're entering and your teammate comes out ramp and blinds the shit out of you and then you just get killed. Um, some default things about like why it's not always so good. So like in that game I was talking about where I got super frustrated, some things that were happening was like I would go out and entry and either get a kill or just die because I was being stupid or whatever. But the next thing I saw is like I would have a player with me ramp and a player palace, and they would immediately for like the next minute and a half, they would just start walking around and like not even like peaks like this, but just like they would be sitting here and they would just hold this angle for like 45 seconds. Or the palace guy would be sitting here and like maybe he's got out to here and he's just holding stairs and he doesn't move for like a minute. If I've just run out ramp, especially if I've killed one and I tell you where the other guy is, the guy that killed me, you have an awesome opportunity to swing out, get that trade kill, then it's a 4v3 and you have a bomb site. So you don't want to just like, especially if somebody makes a big play, like don't respond by being slow, just take it fast. It's okay to make noise on the T side because like there's a good chance they have an idea. Like if you're coming out A, they know you can only come out ramp or palace. So even if they hear you, oh, there's one palace, like you have a good advantage with or you have a good opportunity with peeker's advantage, which is basically on T side. Yes, they know what angle you're coming from, but you know the exact timing of when you're going to peek this angle. They have no idea when you're going to hit this spot. They might have, if they hear you, they might have a pretty good idea, but you know exactly when you're going to get here. And so it'll automatically make your reaction time a little faster. And terrorist guns do more damage. So AKSG do more damage than the AUG and the M4. So as long as you can hit your shots, um, especially if you know where they are. Like if I tell you there's a guy triple and you're swinging out here, you really only have one angle to clear. He can swing on this side, but even then you can move your crosshair over and, get him. But so you have a pretty big advantage. The CT player's in a pretty he just has to hit his shots pretty good. Or you have to whiff one or the other, which is fine. I mean people whiff. But um even if you don't necessarily have information, all you really have to do, especially coming out of Palace, is nice because it's like you clear your angles one at a time and you have this wall protecting you from all the other angles. It's not like you're coming out way in the open and you have to check like 90 different angles. It's like check here, stairs. This is if it's not smoked or anything, if you're just trying to make like a scrim play, stairs, jungle. Um, you can always give jungle a jiggle too if you know for sure there's an op there. When you're jiggling too, make sure you never want to. So this is not a jiggle. This is not how you jiggle an angle. How you jiggle an angle is like this because right here, my shoulder is probably visible to jungle. It doesn't look like it. I can't see jungle, but he can see my little right side shoulder right now. But if you come out all the way, like anybody with a decent reaction time is just going to op you. So when you jiggle, you can just hit it like this, try and bait them to shot. If they don't shoot, swing wide, try and outshoot them. Um, really advanced players, I guess all Stewie in the most recent tournament do the little gun thing where they stick their gun out to bait them. And that's good, but it's a little harder because you put your crosshair kind of in a weird spot. At least this way, like you can kind of have your crosshair like where you kind of need to be. If you're doing it like this, like you have to like do it and then move all the way over. So uh, obviously he can do it because he's amazing. He's a great player. So um, but yeah, so if you're clearing out, clear jungle, you can give it a jiggle. If not, keep going. You're clearing triple, you're looking default, clearing here. And even if you don't know where they are, you can just kind of put your crosshair like in a generally good spot to where I can flick down for default. I can look for right side triple. I can go here, flick over to this side triple. You should, as a player, be able to hit these shots most of the time because it's not that much mouse movement. You keep going, you can clear CT, look behind ticket, clear ninja, firebox, jump down, underbout. So like clearing angles from Palace is fairly simple. You just need not be so afraid. Don't just let your teammates die around you and lurk here behind a smoke or something like if it's smoked off. Like don't just be sitting here like, oh, I'm smoked, guys. I can't do anything as they're running out shooting everybody. Just swing out with them. And at the very least, you die, you give them information, and you are putting attention on yourself so the CTs aren't focused on the guys entering the site. Um, what else? That was just basically like a big frustration. Some other short things I can just give because I'm already on Mirage, some short little tips I can give. There's a cool smoke right here. So if you're underpass, you're the underpass lurk player, you guys want to try and take connector control. A big problem with taking connector control is most of the time there's like a guy triple, a guy stairs, or a guy on top of ticket booth who's also fighting you, as well as potentially a guy connector and a guy cat. So you're in like this three-person sandwich. So if you're the underpass player and like windows smoked or mollied or whatever, and you're not at risk of getting jumped on, go into this corner. You can really just like walk into it, and then look at, I believe it's right here, the tip of this thing. Throw a smoke, and this throws a great jungle smoke. It's also good if your team's going to execute A or fake executing A. So this makes it so triple and top ticket booth cannot stop you from fighting connector. So then you can run up here. And all you have to worry about is like stairs or here, and you have a guy behind you who's walking up watching cat, or you just smoke or molly it or whatever. So pretty useful smoke. It's not perfect, but it's nice. Some other things. Oh, here's one thing. If you are the Palace Lurk, a fun thing to know is if you just come out of spawn and you're running toward Palace, I think Nothing did a video on this, but you have to start walking about here. If you go all the way up, like if you're coming in and you go like even if you like B-hop or whatever, and then you start walking here, this step right here, if there's a CT going under Palace or going default, they will hear you right here. And so you need to start walking like right at these first steps pretty much. Start walking. Sure, they might get kind of a jump on you in Palace, but at least you can take, you can hold this angle, you can come up here, get like an off angle, you can continue to swing and peek late, whatever. But um, if you jump all the way up here, they're going to know you're in here, and they're no matter what, there's going to be a guy with their crosshair on Palace, so they're going to be keeping an eye on it, so you won't be able to make a play like that. Um, Another thing, if you play matchmaking, especially low level, and they smoke ramp early, and you're trying to make like some kind of solo play on A, you can wait for that smoke to fade, which I have to give it a sec. As soon as it fades, so before it fades, you want to line up in this corner here, if I can. Line up in, maybe it is this corner. It's this corner maybe. And then I believe it's this one. Whoops. What just happened? My game froze. Oh my god, my game actually froze. Okay, well, hold on one sec. My game like super froze. Holy cow. Let me open it back up real quick. I don't know why that happened. I haven't seen that happen in a while. This video is already getting too long, but that's okay. And these, as far as like smokes and stuff you can do on this map, there are tons and tons of YouTube videos. There are maps, like the map I'm using right now called Mirage Training. There are tons and tons and tons. If you just want to learn cool pop flashes, smokes, mollies, etc., there are tons of maps like this one, Mirage Training, which I can, if it'll let me highlight it, maybe not, but um, super good maps, super useful. Teach you all kinds of pop flashes, mollies, smokes, etc. But yeah, just so far the most important things I want to say about T-side, especially if you're just learning the game, don't really know how to do it, is if you're gonna push a site, push with your team. Don't just sit around and bait them. You're allowed to bait your team if that's your position, if you're flashing out or whatever. Um, Especially if you're playing like solo matchmaking, like sometimes you have to bait your team if you realize you're just better than them, and sometimes you just have to. You might want to tell them like if you're in a game like I think in this Mirage game we were playing, I had like double the kills of the second place person, and so like they all kind of knew, and I was smurfing again. I'm not trying to talk like I'm hot shit, um, but like they all kind of understood that like okay, if he goes out first and just gets offed, like that's not good. So they were kind of letting me bait them, but they weren't. Like I was standing here like watching them trying to entry, and so and they again they were listening. They were asking me what we needed to do to win and stuff like that, which we did end up tying, but we definitely should have won. Um, and so and I was trying to explain, but like it's hard for me to explain like basic entry tactics when I'm in the middle of the game or whatever. So just make sure when you're entering as a site, especially if you're doing a smoke execute or anything, like just go with your team and don't get stuck over here. This is the bad area. This is put a big X through this. Don't go over here. You can have one guy, like maybe the third guy can come over here and he can jump into the stairs smoke or something and try and make like a play. Either they're just spamming or whatever. But don't get stuck here. Just swing left, clear your angles, and take the site. Um, I forgot what I was doing. Oh, that smoke. So yeah, A ramp is smoked. You can get set up here in this corner. And then I think it's this one. I could be wrong, but let's see how this goes. That is definitely not it. Hold on. There's this cool little one way you can do here. I just have to remember it's one of these corners you line up with. Maybe this one. Oh, that's definitely not it. Okay, it's gotta be farther to the right. I don't know. It's one of these. Maybe this one. No, I don't freaking know. One of these. I might have to look it up. It's not really useful if I can't actually show you how to properly do it, but um, there's a nice little one way you can do over here. I really wish. I feel like I'm lining up in the wrong corner. I feel like it's this corner. Like I felt like it was that thing, but maybe it's this one. No, it's definitely this one because this is the only one you can get stuck in. I just don't know what freaking line it is. Maybe this one. Ooh, that might be it. Yeah, I think that's it. At least it's pretty close to that. I mean, that one's close. Hold on. Was I looking at that? It's maybe that one. Oh, is that one better? Kind of. Anyways, there's a smoke you can bounce off. You can look it up, but there's a really nice lurk smoke you can bounce off here, and it actually puts a one-way right here, so you can see CT guy, you can see triple guy. Problem is, if they know about this smoke and they just double zoom on it, you're just gonna fucking die. So, um, but it's just something you can try. Maybe if the game's not going good or whatever, you can give it a shot. I really wish I knew exactly which one it is. That one? That one looks good. Okay, so I think it's that one. Yeah, that looks pretty good at least. So it's not a great. I think there's a more precise way to do it, but like this isn't a very good one way. But if you creep on the edge of it, it's pretty good. Like this, it's like I can see CT here, and I bet they cannot see me very well. So just a pretty useful smoke. Um, showed you the underpass thing. Um, One useful thing if you are the underpass player, make sure when you're coming down here, you can right-click a flash to make sure nobody's pushing underpass. It's pretty easy if you're just walking like you should be, and you just kind of right-click a flash here. It'll pop flash down here, and if anybody's pushing you, you can kill them. Also, when going out B, make sure, like a useful thing when I'm entering B, you throw this first flash, and then you always throw a late flash like that. That bounces a little higher. But your teammates definitely need to make sure they stagger the flashes more, because if you just throw all your flashes right away when you're coming out here and you don't have a guy waiting behind you, by the time you get to like here, they're not even going to be flashed anymore. They're going to be non-flashed. So you want to make sure you have somebody kind of staggering the flashes and then throwing flashes out the window and stuff like that, and then jumping out, even though my movement sucks. But yeah, jumping out, clear and get right, etc. So yeah, that's just some basic T-side stuff. Just don't. It's one thing if you're doing a default and you guys are, working the map and stuff like that, and you're not having it like you don't always have to be just full on rushing sites or executing or anything. Sometimes you need to just spread out and take map control and get picks or whatever, especially if you have an opper. But if you're doing some kind of execute or some kind of fast play and you have a player who's going to entry or somebody who called like, all right, we're doing execute or we're gonna scrim out A. Scrimming meaning don't throw any smokes, just like flash out and have some guy just fucking come out here and frag. Um, just go with your team. If you die, it's not a big deal as long as you all go out together. The part when it gets frustrating and teammates start yelling at each other is when, two of them run out, die instantly, then it's a 5v3, and the other three players spend the next minute and a half walking around the map just getting picked off. So if you all run out and you all die, you don't kill a single person, then at least you tried the strat. You can analyze why you all just died. Maybe the Opera CT went ham, maybe a smoke missed, maybe you all got flashed by something crazy. You can at least say, okay, next time we try that, let's watch out for that. But if you start lurking around the map, then people are just going to start raging, start getting angry at you and stuff like that. Just remember when you're on T side, you know, you don't always have to walk, especially if they've got a pretty damn good idea where you are. Like, it's way harder to hit a shot from a guy that's wide swinging than a guy that comes slowly walking around a corner. It's way easier to hit a headshot or an op shot that way. But if you come wide swinging, like you can miss, you can not pull your crosshair over faster, like the opper can whiff, and then this guy gets some positioning and can make a play somewhere. Like, it's okay not to walk all the time, especially if you're in like a 1v4 or something like that. Like, um, sometimes it's better just to swing and try and take your gunfights and just try and hit your shots, because sometimes that's all it takes to win a round. But if you walk around, you can throw around real easily just because you gave some guy an easy shot that, normally might have missed. So that's all I've got. That's all that stuff applies to other maps too. Mirage is just like one of the most common played maps right now. So just work together. If somebody's making calls, follow the calls. Don't bait. If you're lurking, if you try and do a lurk roll a lot and you notice it's not working, just sometimes it's okay. Just go with your team. Just try and frag out. Like you don't need a lurker. You don't need like if you're doing an AXQ, you don't need some guy going apps and like, oh, I'm gonna fake B by myself and I'm just gonna throw two flashes and they're all gonna rotate. No, that's not gonna work. You can go underpass and like quickly, like as soon as your team starts to execute, just start running underpass. Even if this window guy hears you or the cat guy hears you, he either has to rotate back, not help his team, and try and fight you, which you will most likely hear him. And this is not a terrible fight to win. Or like even if the cat guy hears you, like this is a hard fight for him because you can be waiting under window, you can be swinging this way, you can be going up connector, which is a pretty hard fight for him to win. Like it's okay if they hear you, if it either relieves pressure from your team that's trying to take the site, or um, like even if you just die or you have the opportunity to get a couple kills, and that can just win the round straight up right there. So yeah, and if you notice when you're lurking, if it's not working, just go with your team, frag out, entry, support. If you're getting crapped on in a game and you have people on your team that are just fragging out or whatever and like they're doing really really well, like sometimes you just have to be that guy. Like I like in club all the time. I play Midwest Gold Club. There are many numerous players that are better than me in that club. And so sometimes I'm just not having a good game, so I'm like, all right, you know, I'm gonna just run out first with my AK, and I'm gonna try and do my best to clear the angles, and I'm gonna rely on these two guys behind me who are, better fraggers than me or whatever, are having a better game. And even if I just die, I'm gonna be confident that they're gonna trade those kills for me. And if they do, if I die, then to a guy I like, hurt a guy under balk, and then a guy triple like peeks kills me, or they both kill me. It's like, and then they know there's one triple, one here. Like I know for certain, like there's a good chance this guy's gonna trade the triple guy. Then they know the guy's under balk, they can kill him. And then the round's pretty much over. Then it's a 4v3 retake. It's not over, but they're in a really good spot, and I've done my job. Literally, all I did was run. I could not fire a single bullet, but if I just run out, you know, throw my smokes, throw my mollies, whatever, and do my job clearing the site, and then my death gets traded, then that's a successful round. I'll take that. I feel like I did my job. So there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it's not all about stats. It's just more about winning the round. So don't be afraid to be bait for your team. Also, don't be afraid to bait your team if you are fragging better than etc. It's better if you communicate though, like, hey guys, I'm kind of gonna bait you this round. Like, just run out and I'll bait you and try and frag out. Some people are okay with that. Some people aren't. You should be okay with that if somebody says that, if they are performing well. Um, what else? I think that's about it. Just don't be afraid. Don't walk. Too many people hold shift too much on T side. Less shifting, especially when people know where you are. There's no reason to shift. Especially if you're entering a site. Like if you're entering a site and you've already have the site and there's smoke stuff and stuff, and you're like walking in this area, like looking at the smoke, there's no point. Just run. They already know you're there. So, um, less shifting. Work with your team. Don't always need a lurk. Smokes aren't that scary if you have your team to back you up. And yeah, that's about it. So just some quick tips. T-side Mirage. Um, yeah, that's about all I got. So thanks.